All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. All right, so I need to clear up a few things. First of all, stuff that my wife was telling me this morning. She told me a couple of things, and we were sitting there talking, and so it kind of got out of hand. So so I told her, first of all, let me clear up some things about Juneteenth. First of all, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed on January 1st, 1863. Okay, they didn't tell us until a year and a half later, on June 19th, 1865. All right, so I'm just trying to tell y'all, that's like 2 years later, 2.5 years later, whatever. But that's kind of messed up too, y'all. I'm just saying that ain't cool to me. All right, but anyway, and the first time, and I grew up in Michigan, and I went to school on the East Coast and all of that. So I never heard of Juneteenth until I got to Colorado, and I met the owner of a radio station that I worked for, Jimmy Walker, and Dr. Daddy-O. Y'all may know him as Dr. Daddy-O. But anyway, one of the greatest blues DJs ever. So anyway, shout out to Daddy-O. Thank you for the whole Juneteenth thing. So at the station that I worked at, we did a Juneteenth celebration. And so we used to bring groups in and all that kind of stuff on Juneteenth, and it was a big celebration. So that was the first time I ever celebrated Juneteenth, because I didn't know. And he was from Louisiana, and so everything was sort of like, I didn't know, because seriously, like on the East Coast, nobody ever knew that. And see, in at Hampton, where I went to college, we had the Emancipation Proclamation, but the Emancipation Proclamation was read, a couple of days basically after the 13th Amendment was signed. All right, now, here's the other thing. 13th Amendment was like the setup, was also like the setup for what? It was a setup for mass incarceration. So when y'all start talking about the whole Joe Biden thing and all that kind of stuff, and talking about the 90s and mass incarceration, look, mass incarceration began in 1863. when the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment was ratified and all that stuff went on, that's when the school to prison pipeline and all those things that we talk about now, that's when they really started. Okay, so don't get the game twisted. The game is the game. The game is still the game. And the game was that you could not be a slave, but if you were convicted of a crime, go read the 13th Amendment. But if you were convicted of a crime and you were duly put in jail or whatever, then what happened? Then basically what could they do? They could just throw you in jail and they could keep you, right? And they could force you to work. So that's like we have all these things about labor camps and all of these different things going on. The whole difference was that it was now legal. Slavery was always legal, but it was legal as long as they could convict you of a crime. So, and then if you read all of the cases concerning, just like what we're going through now. Go through and read cases concerning probable cause and all of those type of things. No knock warrants and all the things that are occurring right now. These things were put into law a long time ago. They didn't just get put into law. They've been in the law before all of the current politicians ever even showed up. So I mean, we're talking about hundreds of years. The 1860s. We're talking about the 1860s through right now, 2020. All right, 1860 to 2020. Do the math. All right. So I'm just trying to tell y'all, don't think that when we start blaming these modern day people about stuff, it's not really true, and it's not. But here's the thing. But they have the power, the money, and the ability to make these things right. Second thing that I want to clear up is reparations. Now, I'm for sure a hypocrite when it comes to reparations. I'm a hypocrite. I'm gonna be honest, because there was a time when I didn't believe in reparations, and that was like around the time like when George Bush was in office. George W. Bush, the son, Baby Bush, when he was in office, I didn't quite believe in reparations, because I looked at the economy and the way that things were going, and the way the economy and the way things were going, I didn't really think that reparations would be a good idea. Because I was like, man, if we took all the money out of the out of the system, what would happen? Well, what would happen is that we would end up like having no money in the system, which is where we're at right now, actually. But here's what changed my mind. See, Trump and them changed my mind. Trump and them the Trump administration has changed my mind about a lot of things. And one of the things that it changed my mind about is reparations. And here's why. Because they gave themselves a 30% tax cut. All right, rich people, especially those rich people that own corporations and all that, which is what the economy is set up for. The economy is not set up for lower and middle class people. Lower and middle class people take care of the rich. That's how this economy is set up. But when they gave themselves a 30% tax cut, then they bought out all their stock. They rebought their stock, and then they cashed their stock in. And what did they do? They turned around and they put it all in trust. All right, most of these billionaires and multi-millionaires, 100 millionaires and all that kind of stuff, they took their stock and they sold it, and then after they sold it, they divested, because basically they divested everything out of the stock market. Stock market crashed, went down. Okay, and now what? We have a recessed or depressed economy. But they took all the money. So it was a subtle but blatant form, so I use an oxymoronic term. It was a subtle but blatant form of theft, because that's what they did. They took all the money out of the economy. And so then I was reading, and I can't think of the guy's name, but there was a guy, and he was an economist, and I can't think of his name, but I was reading his article, and he was talking about how rich people have been robbing the American economy for years. And it was just like the stuff that it's like how you are thinking about something, or something is on your mind, and then all of a sudden you get like the confirmation, and that article was really the confirmation. So what I did was, and I was like, okay, so now, for example, you get like Walmart Corporation, I always pick on Walmart because they're out there in the public a lot, but and a lot of people shop there and everything, and they get a lot of money out of the economy and out of welfare and all that stuff. So I went and I was looking, I said, wow, they literally divested out of the stock market about $500 million and put it into their private funds, into a private trust. And anybody who knows anything about law or trust, they know that once money goes into trust, okay, it can't be touched, and it can be bequeathed. It can be, given over to their family without having to, go to court. No taxes, none of that stuff. The trust can be held, just like it is. So there's no estate taxes and none of that stuff. But it's a loophole that allows the rich to keep their money. All right. But like if somebody poor dies, it's taxed. There's the state tax, the local government, the state government, federal government, everybody gets a little cut of the money. Okay, but if you put it in trust, then nobody gets a cut of the money. The money does. So if I put it, for example, if I make a flow through trust for my children, and I put all my money in trust, and I just let it sit there, make a flow through trust where it will pay their bills and all that, and then it just sits there. All right. And so that's basically what the Walmarts did. All right. So they took all that money, and the 30%, that the money that they bought the stock back with, that was your money and my money, because they didn't pay taxes. Okay, they paid they paid a certain amount of taxes, but they didn't pay the amount of taxes that we paid. And so where did that 30% come from? See, it's once again, it's simple economics. You can't, in economics, I'm not an economist, but the one thing that I did learn in economics class when I was in college is if you take something from one side and you put it over to the other side, then this side is going to be lacking, and this side is going to get stronger, right? So that's what we got to understand. So when they took that 30% from us, it made them stronger. Okay, so now all of a sudden here comes coronavirus, here comes all this kind of stuff. They got a nest egg. You know, and the other part was when they gave the economic stimulus, they gave us $1,200 and they took $1.6 million. So everybody who was in the upper tax bracket got $1.6 million and we got $1,200. So what did they do right there? They stole, because no matter how long the economic crisis is, can you hold? If I gave you $1.6 million, can you hold out? Can you hold out? Yeah, you can. You can weather. You give me $1.6 million, I'm gonna weather the storm. Give me $1,200, I'm not even gonna make it to the end of the month. And these are facts. Truth. And a lot of these companies, a lot of the corporations also got stimulus money. They got millions in stimulus. And there are going to be people that are going to get millions in stimulus after all of this stuff goes down. Because the airlines, the travel industry especially, they're going to have to get stimulus, or else there's not going to be any airlines and all that. They're going to go out of business. And the travel, you know, once the coronavirus and everything is out of the whole system of the country or whatever, then they're going to start opening up travel. They're going to open up everything, and that's what's going to happen. So let's not get the game twisted. But they have already sacked enough money so that they can make it through whatever tough times we have. Even if this lasts for like 5 years, you know, give me $1.6 million, I can make it through. So now, if they got all that money, trillions of dollars, all these packages are worth trillions of dollars. Well, if you could do that, and Bob Johnson, who I'm not a big fan of, but Bob Johnson did what? Bob Johnson said, look, there's enough money where you can get $350,000 for each black family. Well, not in fact, each black person who is a descendant of slaves. And I think they should do it, because hey, you know, if you just, and the other thing is, and the Federal Reserve is just printing money. The Federal Reserve, that money ain't no good, and everybody in the world knows that the money that they're printing up now, it ain't no good. Because it ain't backed by nothing. It's not backed by gold standard. It's not backed by a silver standard. It's not backed by anything. The only thing it's backed by is what? The United States, and they don't really trust us no more anyway. So they're just saying, and they're like printing up, and I think they're lying about the amount that they're printing up too, because they're just floating money out there. All right, so give us reparations. You can afford it. You know, if you can afford to give corporations millions of dollars and give 30% tax cut back and all of that stuff, then give us the money. And the focus of all this stuff that's going on should be the money. Get paid. Don't get mad. Get paid. That's my thing. Don't get paid. Don't get mad. Get paid. Don't get mad. Get paid. Get the reparations. All right. So now the final thing that I want to clarify is this: they took Aunt Jemima off the pancake syrup in the box, and I was trying to figure out. I said, now, you know, where does that leave like Miss Butterworth? You know, what's up with Miss Butterworth? You know, it was. And then my wife told me that Mrs. Butterworth was a black company. I didn't even know that. But if I'm wrong, you know, inbox me or something and let me know I'm wrong. But she said it's a black company. So then the second thing I thought was, well, where does that leave my man Uncle Ben? And one of my frat brothers, he posted about it too. He's like, come on, man, a black man can't get a break. We can't get a break. You know, Uncle Ben been on that box for a long time. And I don't think, and at least they gave Aunt Jemima like an upgrade. You know, she got an upgrade. She got like a new dress, and you know, she you know, because when I was little, Aunt Jemima used to have like a rag tied around her head and a rag around her waist and all of that. But at least, you know, Uncle Ben always had that little suit on, or the little, you know, the waiter tuxedo and all that stuff on. So, you know, I guess that's why they didn't give him. But here's the sad part: they took the animals off the animal crackers, you know, because of animal brutality. But they did that before they would even consider taking a black person off a box. So just think about that, y'all. Before they took the animals out the cages before they hooked up Aunt Jemima. Sad, man. Sad state of affairs in this country. That's the fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notification button. Please hit all the buttons. And most of all, hit the love button.